So Nintendo of America is getting a brand new president and CEO beginning essentially December 31st or depends on how you want to look at it, January 1st, 2026. That is because Doug Bowser will be stepping down. And it is notable that, none of the presidents of Nintendo are ever like CEOs of Nintendo of America. In fact, there isn't always a presiding CEO of Nintendo of America. There has been several of them in the past, including Kimishima during the transition from Iwata to Furukawa. And while Reggie was president, Kimishima also served as CEO of Nintendo of America. But again, there isn't always a CEO of Nintendo of America, but there is often a CEO. And the president of Nintendo of America does not serve as the CEO. The president usually serves as COO, Chief Operating Officer, and then obviously serves as the president. And occasionally, like as is the case with Reggie Fils-Aimé, became an executive. Like he rose so high, he became an actual executive of the main board at NCL, or just known as Nintendo, right? Like Japan, we call them Nintendo Japan, but it's literally just Nintendo corporate, right? The top level at Nintendo. Reggie did get on the board there during his tenure as president. So it is notable that there is just a transition going on as Doug Bowser is stepping down at the end of this year. This is officially announced by Nintendo. We're going to go over Nintendo's official statement along with Doug Bowser's words and the new president coming in, the incoming president's words. Also a smidge of a background that we learned from Kit and Krista, who actually worked not just for Reggie, the former president, the current president, Doug Bowser. They also worked alongside the new president coming in. So just to give some thoughts on what they feel about this person and the qualifications, along with how this transition period is going and how long they've probably known about this transition, like how long they've actually been like trying to, get this person set up to take over for Doug. And then beyond all of that, obviously what the new CEO and what they're going to be doing, at least for the time being, to help with the transition as well, and a little bit of history on them. Some words from Doug Bowser himself, of course, and yes, we'll even show a little bit of what Reggie Fils-Aimé had to say, because I do think that while Reggie's no longer president at Nintendo of America or anything like that, or even works at Nintendo, this person did work 19 years at Nintendo, meaning she worked a very long time under Reggie Fils-Aimé, and he would probably know her fairly intimately and know if she's qualified for the job. That being said, folks, this is a transition period, and I want to make sure we transition to our giveaways. We have two active giveaways going on. I kind of flubbed it last time. I said Odyssey for some reason. What I really meant was Super Mario Galaxy. We're giving away copies, 3 of them, of Super Mario Galaxy 1+2. That giveaway is actually ending next week, so kind of, you only have a handful of days left to enter, so the link's down in the pinned comment and the description. We also have a more long-term giveaway going on for November. We're giving away 5 copies of Kirby Air Riders. If you are trying to get your hands on Kirby Air Riders, you can go ahead and enter down in the link in the pinned comment and the description for that as well. Some people have been asking, like, are these physical or digital copies? That's literally up to the winner, okay? There are obviously certain territories where I may not be able to get you a physical copy, but yes, it is up to the winner. And obviously, if you live in a country, because this is open worldwide, where it's not possible for me to get you a physical copy, I'll obviously have to give you a digital code, but we can talk about that when we know who the winners are. For those that always want to know, by the way, how we do this, the winners are contacted privately first. Once they confirm, and we have confirmation, because sometimes we have to draw multiple winners. Once we have confirmation of the winners, that's when we, get their YouTube handles and we publish it publicly over on our community section. And then we move on to the next one. So whenever people think like, oh, this giveaway ended and we started another one, man, how could you be doing another giveaway? We don't even know the winners of the last one. 1, the winners are probably coming. 2, the winners might have already been posted. So just so you guys know where to find all that information. Now, let's go ahead and dive into this because, look, changes at the top of Nintendo of America, which is, the entity of Nintendo that presides over where I live, matters greatly, obviously, to the future of customers here in North America. So here's a post from Business Wire. This comes directly from Nintendo. They post all their press releases here. And it says, Nintendo of America today announced that Doug Bowser will retire as president and chief operating officer on December 31st, 2025, after more than a decade in multiple leadership positions. He will be succeeded by Devon Pritchard, a 19-year veteran of the video game industry and a long-standing member of the Nintendo of America leadership team. In addition, Satoru Shibata will join Nintendo of America as Chief Executive Officer while continuing his roles as Managing Executive Officer and Corporate Director, member of the board at Nintendo Company Ltd, aka NCL. Pritchard will also join the Nintendo of America Board of Directors and become the NCL Executive Officer. Bowser's distinguished tenure includes delivering on the promise of the Nintendo Switch system to change the way people play video games and bring new experiences to a broad range of consumers. Earlier this year, he expanded on that mission when he oversaw the launch of the Switch 2 in the Americas and helped establish the system as the best-selling video game console of all time in its initial sales period. Also during this time with Nintendo, the company saw significant expansion in entertainment ventures such as the theme parks and films, all with the goal of giving more people more opportunities to engage with Nintendo's characters and worlds. One of my earliest video game experiences was playing the arcade version of Donkey Kong, said Bowser. Since that time, all things Nintendo have continued to be a passion for both me and my family. Leading Nintendo of America has been the honor of a lifetime, and I am proud of what our team has accomplished in both business results and the experiences we've created for consumers. Now it's time for the next generation of leadership, and Devon's track record speaks for itself. Bowser continued. She is an exceptional leader, and her promotion is a testament to her strong performance and strategic contributions to the company's growth. I have full confidence that she will guide the company to even greater heights. Pritchard has held executive positions in marketing, business affairs, and publisher relations, and currently serves as Nintendo of America's Executive Vice President of Revenue, Marketing, and Consumer Experience. Putting Nintendo fans at the top of her agenda, Pritchard plans to build on many experiences that allow consumers to connect with Nintendo's characters and worlds, from video games to entertainment to retail experiences. I am humbled and excited to take on a new role, said Pritchard. Doug has been a fantastic mentor, and I look forward to building on the incredible foundation he has helped establish with characters and worlds that offer something for everyone. My focus will be continuing to build on Nintendo's legacy and surprising and delighting our longtime fans, while at the same time welcoming new players into the Nintendo family. NCL President Shintaro Furukawa thanked Bowser for his contributions. During his tenure, Doug made numerous contributions to bring smiles to the faces of people connected to Nintendo. I would like to express my gratitude for his strong efforts. Devon, who will become the next president, has also made many contributions to Nintendo over the years. I'm confident that, like Doug, Devon will continue to support Nintendo's important mission of creating smiles. Now, that's the end of the executive part of this. But then Doug Bowser put out a personal message over on X. It says, today I announced my plan to retire from Nintendo, effective December 31st, 2025. Nintendo has been an integral part of my life for 44 years, starting with Donkey Kong Arcade as a kid in college. It has been an honor to contribute to this incredible company and bring our beloved characters and worlds to fans through our video games, theme parks, and movie experiences. I extend my best wishes to Devon Pritchard as she leads Nintendo of America forward, and I thank all of you for your passion and support of Nintendo, and you can count on me to remain a Nintendo fan. Obviously, of course, he had to post a picture of him holding, wearing Mario stuff and holding Bowser, obviously. Very unique situation where he was the president of Nintendo of America with also having the last name Bowser. All right. And then lastly, I just wanted to quickly show what Reggie said before we talk about some other stuff that other former employees are saying about the current leadership change. Reggie Fils-Aimé says, Devon is a talent and should do incredibly well. I look forward to this generation of Nintendo of America. Congrats to, this is Doug Bowser's X handle, for the past 6+ years. All right, so obviously one thing you're noticing here is Jeff Keighley here putting out this tweet, and you get a look at who the new president's going to be. This is her. You can also find popular pictures of her, like right here, holding an enemy from Pikmin. Now, to clarify here, Devon is not a gamer, at least according to Kit and Krista. Very, very super casual. It's not like she's never turned on and played a Nintendo game. She's been working there for 19 years, but she's not really a gamer. She started out apparently in the legal department, according to Kit and Krista, before she ended up getting promoted in like 2022 or 2021 or whatever it was, into the position that she's in now, after another person that was in the position she has now moved on to another company. And at that point, Kit and Krista said they were fairly confident that she was being lined up to be the replacement for Doug Bowser. Now, one thing to note here is that Kit and Krista did give us a little insight into how this works. They've known that she is going to be the new person, and it's been known within Nintendo for quite some time. And the transition was probably like made relevant to her maybe as far back as early 2024. It's probably been at least a couple of years, essentially, that she's known she was going to be overtaking for Doug Bowser, and that Doug Bowser was going to come to an end. Now, you don't make big time changes at the top heading right into a console launch, and you definitely don't do it during a console launch. So it made sense that Doug Bowser would stick around through the launch and through the very first holiday before stepping away and letting her take over. Now, obviously, she has 19 years experience at Nintendo. She did work her way up the ladder. Of course, this is an internal promotion, which is pretty typical in Nintendo. They like to do internal promotions. Reggie Fils-Aimé was one of those rare outside hires that was hired in like 2003 to come in as like, executive of their sales and marketing team, which is basically the role she has, just with a different title. They change the titles all the time, but Reggie was hired as an outsider in 2003 and he took over in 2006 as president. So that's one of the rare instances where Nintendo hired an outsider and ended up working out. A lot of times when they hire outsiders into leadership positions, they don't really last that long. Internal promotions seem to be more what Nintendo likes to do. That said, it is interesting having someone who's been at Nintendo essentially 20 years work their way up the ladder and get promoted. I have no idea what kind of leader she's going to be. According to Kit and Krista, who did get to work directly with her, even on like the same equal level of like employment at Nintendo, where like neither were, bosses of each other, but they did get to talk frequently with her. She comes across as extremely kind. She seems to really understand the business they're in and the marketing. And while she may not be a gamer herself, the biggest thing to remember is that Nintendo of America is first and foremost a marketing arm of Nintendo. Yes, there are some development studios on this side of thing, but all of that's actually managed by people in Japan, even though communications might go through Nintendo of America. So Nintendo of America's primary job is customer support and serving customers, marketing, etc. Obviously, they do handle some things like translations of games and stuff like that as well at Treehouse. But the point is that like that's their primary job is marketing. So having someone who's got a lot of experience at that and a lot of experience with how Nintendo likes to do things, dating all way back to like the Wii era and all of that, that's really, I think, a solid foundation for a president for the company. Now, it is notable that Shibata is coming in as the CEO, and Kit and Krista talked a little bit about why that's the case. And one, he used to be president and all of that at Nintendo of Europe, so he has a lot of experience running entire territories, and in that case, territories that span multiple countries, like several of them, a lot more countries than Nintendo of America deals with here with North and South America. But besides that, also, he kind of deals with a lot of executive things now at Nintendo. He moved on from that position in 2022 and got promoted to other executive positions at Nintendo, including a member of the board. And he has not relinquished those positions to take over this one. So Kit and Krista essentially put out there why that's happening, and it's just to help with the transition. Essentially, Shibata's not going to be moving here and living in Seattle, at near Nintendo's headquarters. He probably will do a lot of traveling back and forth, but mostly he's in place to just help with the transition from Doug Bowser to Devon, to make sure it's smooth, to answer any questions Devon might have beyond the training that she's already been getting from Doug Bowser before this announcement and will be getting throughout the rest of the year. Doug Bowser will obviously have her involved. It's notable, like when they opened up the San Francisco store and did the Switch 2 launch at the San Francisco store, that she was there with Bill Trinan. I don't know if Bill Trinan is going to be next in line for her position. I have no idea, but those were the two people at that store. It wasn't Doug Bowser. It was her, clearly already showing that they were already transitioning to her kind of being the face of Nintendo of America. But obviously, Doug was still the one going around doing all the interviews for Switch 2's launch and all of that, because, again, he was the one primarily responsible for that here in the US. That said, all of that sounds good. Nintendo has a clear succession plan. Obviously, Doug Bowser's on the way out. Devon's on the way in. Again, this is who the new president's going to be. And Shibata is going to be helping with the transition and answering questions and helping her with communications back and forth with Nintendo of Japan. All right, so that's all the news. That's what's going down. Now we get to the part where we get to my thoughts on this. And we got to start first off with Doug Bowser. First off, man, happy retirement. I hope you do sincerely enjoy it. I have no animosity towards you. I don't know you as a person. I know a lot of people online are giving you flack for, your background at EA, and then obviously coming over to Nintendo of America, and people blame you for pretty much everything wrong with Nintendo, or they pair you with Furukawa and say you're both wrong for everything because you're too business focused. And their job is to run a business. So I'm not mad at him for any of that stuff, because frankly, we don't really know how a lot of these decisions came to be. Oftentimes the decisions aren't actually made by Nintendo of America. They're made by Nintendo Japan, and Nintendo of America is stuck trying to message these changes to the fans. But I want to note here that I feel like Doug Bowser is probably going to be poorly remembered by fans. I think they're going to remember him the most either for his last name being associated with Bowser, but I think when they think back on his presidency, it's not going to look back on fondly the way that Reggie was. Reggie obviously had decades, at Nintendo, and he worked with, Iwata during the Iwata era when they wanted very personality forward people, and Reggie was one of those. That's why Reggie got to do that goodbye video, even though at the time he was working for Furukawa, because even Furukawa and Nintendo Japan recognize that, hey, Reggie's been this open public face for us for so long in our most, our largest territory. It wouldn't make sense to just drop a press release he's retiring. We need to allow him to say goodbye directly to the fans because, again, he's been that public face for so long at the company. So, yeah, it is one of those things where it'll be interesting to see, what happens at the Game Awards. Nintendo is assuredly going to win probably at least one award for Donkey Kong Bonanza. I don't know if they're going to win more, but that game is probably going to be nominated and win something at the Game Awards. It might even be nominated for Game of the Year. Probably won't win it, but there will be some sort of award DK might win, like Best Family Game or something. And when that happens, I'm very curious if Doug Bowser is going to go up there one last time to accept the award on behalf of Nintendo, if they're going to send the developers up there to accept the award, or if it's going to be Devon Pritchard going up there to accept the award. I'm very curious how they're going to manage all of that. Obviously, in the case of that stuff, we'll talk about Devon in a moment, but I just want to say that I think Doug Bowser is just going to be remembered very poorly due to the launch of Switch 2, due to the controversies around Switch 2. It kind of sucks that I think the public is going to think very poorly of him. And I think there's some justification. Obviously, I'm not saying that Nintendo made all the best decisions, but I don't think that we could just solely point at him as, oh, it's all your fault, right? Like, that's like blaming Reggie for everything wrong with Wii U and the 3DS launch. Like, is that all his fault? Or were some of those decisions made above his head? Or was it a group of decisions made? There's a lot of things that go in place there. And it helped Reggie at the time that Iwata would just publicly take the backlash for every mistake Nintendo made. Whereas nobody's really taking responsibility for any of the faults here because they're not admitting to making any mistakes. So, and that's what some people will probably remember him for is just being the face of all of this anti-consumer stuff that people are pushing online. That said, it sounds like the employees are going to have very fond memories of him. Kit and Krista, obviously being former employees, worked there during COVID, and they noted that one thing that wasn't known publicly is how Doug Bowser handled the COVID situation with Nintendo of America, doing everything he could to make sure people could still do their jobs while still respecting them as people and respecting people worried about their health situation and all of that. Sounds like he was very respectful towards the employees, and the people he worked for or worked under him have a deep reverence for his care for them as people. And that's really nice to see. You don't always get that from the corporate level. Sometimes you get a lot of disdain towards people that are in charge. And it sounds like the employees, both former and current at Nintendo of America, don't have that sort of disdain for Doug Bowser. They seem to genuinely enjoy working for him. So I think that for them, at least, he's going to have a positive thing left. For me personally, look, I always say I don't know these people as people. These are corporate heads. All I can comment and say is that he was running Nintendo of America during its most profitable years ever. There's like multiple years where they were turning out $3 billion in revenue coming from the U.S. So clearly, they they obviously thought that Doug Bowser did a lot, even though Doug Bowser was already, coming into an established, successful system. Still, he had to run it during the COVID years and help drive it to even more success. So take that for what you will. I don't hate or love Doug Bowser. I think that he's just a man who did the job to the best of his ability. And now we move on to the next person. And the next person is Devon. Now, Devon is she the first female president of Nintendo of America? That I didn't bother to double check, but I'm pretty sure she's the first female president. And I don't really think the fact that she's female honestly matters. It's all about the best person for the job. She clearly worked her way up the ladder, did it the right way, 19 years to get to this position. So she clearly has a lot of experience in marketing and sales, which is primarily what the job of being the president of Nintendo of America entails. Obviously, she'll have some help from Shibata for a little bit, helping her probably more so with communications going back and forth with Nintendo of Japan. Obviously, Furukawa and the board already knew about these changes coming and approved of them a while ago. So there's nothing surprising there. This isn't like a surprise retirement. They already knew this was coming, and they knew it was probably going to be end of this year after the launch of Switch 2. That said, I don't know what kind of president Devon's going to be. Kit and Kristen note they think she's going to be more like a behind-the-scenes person, like Doug Bowser. Not saying she'll run the company exactly like Doug Bowser did, but that she's not going to be like this big public-facing person and this giant personality. I've even seen people say, "Oh, is she going to appear in the first direct next year?" She might. I don't know. Doug Bowser did get introduced to the fans via a Nintendo Direct, so I'm not going to say or rule out that a Nintendo Direct in February won't feature her to introduce herself to the fans so they can recognize her at public events like with the Mario movie event and different things that happen at the stores, and if she goes to like the theme parks when they open up new rides or have new events going on. Obviously, Nintendo would probably like the fans to be able to recognize who she is when they see her. So I could see a possible introduction in the February Direct. I can also see them not introducing anything at all. It's not like they made big fanfare out of Furukawa taking over and pushed him into Directs. So I don't necessarily know they're going to do that with Devon. Maybe they will. Maybe Devon will ask for that to happen so people can recognize her more. But bottom line is that she is going to be the president. And I have no idea what she's going to be like. Everyone who's worked with her seems to really enjoy her, think she earned this, think she's going to do a good job. So I honestly got to take a wait and see approach and see if anything changes at all, or if it's just business as usual and Nintendo runs the same as always. I think that's what Nintendo's hoping for. That's more business as usual, and from the fan side, we really don't notice much of a difference. Of course, that's what any company wants from a stability standpoint, is don't notice the changes. So I don't know. You guys let me know what you think about this all down in the comments below. How are you going to remember Doug Bowser? And what do you think of the new people coming in? I don't know. Let me know down below. Catch you in the next video.